Hi there. Is that too loud? Is that good? Good, good. Yeah. My name is Markus Jordan. I'm the CEO of the Schwingenstein Foundation. And I'm going to start now telling you about what we did last year when we decided to start the Torial Academy, which is a project about further education of journalists, and a little bit about why we did that, and so that you have an idea where we come from. And David is then going to tell you about the certain projects we did, about the things we learned, about some fails also, because that was the very beginning of our efforts, and we learned definitely that there are a lot of things to do wrong as well. Well, the Schwingenstein Foundation was started to enforce innovative change in journalism. The founder's grandfather was one of the founders of Süddeutsche Zeitung in München. From the very beginning, we thought that it might be of crucial importance to improve journalistic network in the digital world. And because it's always hard to say how things might emerge, but one thing you could say probably is that journalism is more and more going to be like the internet itself. It's going to be very open and very horizontal in its organization, and so network and the possibility to find each other should be something of big importance. So for that we started Torial. Torial.com, Torial.com is a portfolio platform for journalists. I'm too close. It's better like that? Yeah. We started that a few years ago already. Journalists could post their work examples there, tag them, and therefore become visible and findable on a semantic order. So we did that on two reasons, because we wanted journalists to be able to find each other for any kind of cooperation, from local information up to collective research. And of course we wanted journalists to be findable for their customers. Torial is now the largest Germanophone journalistic network, also with quite a lot of members in Austria and Switzerland. One of the biggest Swiss companion is going to join us now in April. We hopefully will have a subsidiary in the States soon as well. We want to make it international. There is an English interface already, and the French interface already. You're welcome to join Torial. We are always looking for contacts to people who might help us to do that international rollout. Also to other European countries, of course. Don't hesitate to get in contact. Another thing that we realized leading to what is this about now is that further education is a crucial issue for journalists, definitely. Being faced with an ongoing technical innovation, we as journalists play a game in which the rules change all the time, and the character of the whole game changes, and we do think that there should be good offers for further education, and that not anyone is forced to do that on his own, as journalism is a demanding task, a demanding thing to do anyway, and we don't want to be the content left behind because of anyone's energy is binded with the technical innovation all the time. So it's a lot about technique, but it's also about collective research possibility and international network. That's the reason why we started that, and as I told you, David is now going to give you a short overview, what we tried, what we did, what was interesting insights we had, learnings we had, and we want to end it quite fast, because there are some people around who are with really interesting own experiences, and we want want you to tell us about your experiences about it and ask your questions and be open for a discussion. Thank you.
Okay. May I have the slides, please? Ah, okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy to work together with Torial Academy, and I would like to tell you a bit about our first steps concerning open online education for journalism. My name is David. I'm a university lecturer in Austria, but I really like to teach online, and furthermore I'm a freelancer for online education, live online events and European projects. We all know that the media landscape has changed fundamentally recently, or in the recent decades. And yeah, with the rise of social media, with participation, transparency, networking, learning from one another, I think education, and especially e-education, should have a similar change. And the key word for educational learning in the digital era is MOOC. Yeah, MOOC is a massive open online course, a course with many participants, open for everybody, very often free of charge. I wonder who of you has already participated in a MOOC? Okay, yeah, somehow a number of people. Yeah, concerning journalism, maybe the data journalism MOOC is known, and a MOOC about community journalism. We have one representative of this MOOC among us, Hannah, and I hope she is going to tell us a bit about it. Community journalism and hyperlocal journalism was the focus of the MOOC, and it ran already 3 times.
So we saw this as being a real training gap, particularly when there are things like media law problems. They might be publishing libelous material. So the MOOC that we did was aimed to provide education about media law, social media verification, online access, all of those sorts of things. So we attracted over 32,000 people to our 3 MOOCs, but we also found that there was a real focus not only in the UK, but in developing countries where there isn't such a great access to real expertise in journalism training, particularly in countries like Africa. There was real interest in community radio and ways of connecting communities who otherwise wouldn't be able to connect. So that was our story on the MOOC, and I'm at C4CJ on Twitter, so if you wanted to ask any questions, I'd be more than happy to share some more information about it.
Yeah, please go ahead and Google the community journalism MOOC, and everything is open access, so you can still have a look at what happened there. Another MOOC was run by Dan Gilmore about media literacy about 1 year ago, and you will find a number of MOOCs about journalism if you go to the MOOC list, but some of the courses now tend to be not for free anymore, so a paywall is established here as well. I can somehow understand. MOOC is in the context of openness. We have learned about open journalism, open science, open politics, participatory politics, and now open education. And with open education and open educational resources, so these are Creative Commons licensed material, I think we are well in line as well with European policies concerning open education. I think it's really interesting. The European Union is quite some difficulties, but still the policy concerning education, I think, has a very good and innovative approach, using online tools and open formats like MOOCs, and they really want to make using Creative Commons licensed material as a rule. Yeah, you can have a look at Open Education Europa. This is the platform where you find. I think education should be somehow, or could be in a globalized world, could be global, without having to travel, and a very green method if you have everything online. And it can be social. So this is a webinar connecting students from different universities. They see each other, they can talk to each other. And at Torial Academy, we try to implement this format. And it's not really a MOOC just to have an online conference, but the online conference is open to everybody, so you can access easily. You can connect with others and just talk to other people. So it's kind of a mini MOOC. Aspects of openness, independent from location. You can connect beyond a traditional classroom. Participation is possible even anonymously. So it's a very low threshold approach. And you can participate as you like. You can use your voice or video, but even very often the chat is fine as well. And with webinars, we produce an open educational resource everybody can access and make use, and maybe even remix. And maybe you have heard about connectivism as an educational approach. To connect with other people might be more interesting than just to learn some content, because if you know whom to approach with a certain question, this is, I think, valuable, and for cooperation on a professional base. So the main approach of Torial Academy should be everything's online, open and free for everybody, international, and live events. This doesn't exclude to have asynchronous fora or connect with each other via Twitter or Facebook or the Torial platform. But I think live is interesting because it's direct interaction. A couple of months ago, we started with a webinar with Richard Gutjahr. The German-speaking audience might know him about. It was a real funny webinar on Periscope and the live streaming apps and how they can be used for journalism. And then we thought the issue of migration and asylum would be, and it is of importance. We all know, and we had a webinar series consisting of 5 live sessions, and at the same time another webinar series about the climate conference in Paris last autumn. These were the topics for the migration course. Some of the speakers, and it was interesting. But what we learned, the issue of migration was very present at this time, and journalists had so many opportunities to stay informed about what is happening. So it was not accepted as we hoped it could.
Yes, so this is to me the most important learning that I can share with you is really you don't ever should think that people might come to join your offer, your educational offer in a MOOC or in a webinar because you're good. They won't. Because there is so much stuff going on out there, or as you know, also a lot of good stuff, interesting stuff. It was like David said that migration was such a hot topic then in Germany, and for months and months, and maybe we were really a little bit over the point, but I don't think that that was the most important reason, but the most important reason was that we thought if we do something really good from the contentious point of view, there will be people to use it, and that's just not true. You don't ever think that. The first thing, if you plan to do a MOOC or a webinar, check your reach. You have to guarantee a basic reach. There could be different ways to do that. One way is, for example, that you have, for the beginning, a really popular speaker, as we had with Richard Gutjahr in the one before. That worked out really good because he has a personal, enormous reach on the digital web, on the social web. And so that worked really good. Another possibility is that you cooperate with educational institutes like universities, high schools, stuff, and just force students or people to join your program. They have to be told that they have to join it. Because then the good thing is if you have this basic reach and then you do a really good contentious job, then they will share. But if there is no basic reach and you're really good, there is nothing to happen. Because there is not that effect that you want to make if you throw a stone into the water and the waves get bigger and bigger. You have to have water for that, yeah? So it must not be a lot of water, it must not be a big stone, but there has to be something in the beginning, and that's the most important thing I think that we learned.
We accompanied the webinar series with a Facebook group for people to connect, and we had a Twitter hashtag, and so some basic possibilities to network. Yeah, this was a screenshot out of a webinar, and I really like the format because it can develop to so many different forms, and you can as well implement somehow the analog, with such a flip chart. I think really what is crucial, Markus already mentioned, is cooperation, and as well cooperation with maybe unusual players for education. In this case, we cooperated with our regional newspaper in Austria, and the webinar was being live streamed to a website of a newspaper. So everybody visiting the website of a newspaper had our webinar as the headline. Above, you see here Monsieur Hollande and Putin sitting. So during this hour, our webinar was more important. And if people decided to participate, they just had to click on the link, and they could enter the online conference room to really actively be part of a crowd, or to cooperate with a TV station. So a webinar can be live broadcast to a television station, or implement innovative methods of live online marketing. I don't know how many are aware of the fact that you can now live stream on Facebook. and so the live stream of Facebook of the online conference was shared, and many people just participated because of they got to know right now there's a running web conference. And I really think, I'm sure that this type of personal online communication via video will be one part of a future of e-learning. So we all will have maybe more or less similar settings in our living room or office or wherever we are. So the next steps for Torial Academy, I think, will be to establish an open webinar series, not so much focusing on general issues, but to focus on tools and formats for journalists, to cooperate with national and international partners. Yeah, I think that's it concerning the presentation, and we would very much like to discuss with you how we could improve our approach.
And maybe one thing I could add is that another possibility to guarantee participation is that if you have this minimum basic reach that I was talking about, you have people to ask before. So the fact that the MOOC or a webinar should be with a live event does not mean that you couldn't or you shouldn't do things before and afterwards. You absolutely should. And because if you have this minimum basic reach, there are people you can ask the questions about the topic before. You can prepare questions. And they will very much like then to follow the issue, because they're waiting for the questions to be answered. There is, as you probably know, all of you who did it before know that, but all those who never tried it, this is just a fabulous thing that in this, for example, Adobe Connect interface, you have the live chat going on, and it's an important thing that beside the speaker you have someone to scan this chat all the time and get the important questions out there and bundle them so that they don't become redundant, but and get the important stuff out of it. And that is a whole lot of fun. Actually, I like that a lot. It was really thrilling. And we had wonderful speakers, and we felt kind of ashamed that we didn't do so much reach for them, because they would have deserved it. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you that this is another important point and a good way to make it a vivid and dynamic thing going on if you try to engage people before, and other people maybe to get the crucial points out of it to share them afterwards. You can use Facebook for that, you can use a Twitter group, doesn't matter. Yeah. So I would very much, Hannah, if that was okay for you, maybe you could just give us a short insight on your crucial learnings.
I agree with a lot of those.
Just come here, or take the mic.
I'm really pleased that I agree with much of what's been said. I think certainly I really like the idea of your Facebook group, because for us the tutorial, so for example a video about how to use Twitter Advanced Search, that's just the start. The really valuable bit is the bit that comes after, and that's the discussion, which is, I imagine, what was going on in your Facebook group. So for us, what was really important is that the course is just a starting point of a conversation. We wanted to make sure that people continued engaging with community journalism on Twitter and at our website, because once they're enthused about a subject, they should carry on being engaged with it. They should carry on learning about it. So we carry on tweeting them. In fact, I had a tweet today from someone who's a volunteer at the festival, who is one of our learners. So they're all over the world, and they're still engaged with community journalism. So I think making sure the course isn't the end of the discussion, but ensuring it continues engaging with them The other thing that I thought was particularly interesting was making sure that your content is as globally relevant as possible. We're based in the UK, and we had some tutorials that were about UK media law, but we tried to make the course very much international in perspective, so it wasn't exclusive. It wasn't going to alienate anyone, that it was going to be as useful for someone who was doing community journalism in the Ukraine, for example, as it would be to someone doing community journalism in Birmingham. So that was part of our aim as well, is to make content really global and really useful for everyone around the world. So that was some of our learning.
Yeah, I really like the idea to connect participants globally, and this is so simple with the internet.
Fantastic. And in your Facebook group, for example, do you continue talking after the course is over? So that migration group, do they continue talking among themselves? Is that how the connections on your course continue?
Most of the interaction was actually live online, because the focus was on the live session, and the Facebook group was more or less for networking.
Fantastic. And I think the other point that we learned throughout the course was about making sure content was updated. As I'm sure you're aware, this conference demonstrates that journalism is an ever-changing field. So a tutorial on Twitter advanced search can easily go out of date about 2 months later. So consistently updating our course material. We've run our course 3 times, and we now feel that now is the time to make a comprehensive update. So it's a lot of work. Our course is five weeks long, 4 hours a week. Takes a lot of work to put that together, so updating that is quite a job, but it's important to do so that the learning doesn't go out of date.
Yeah, so I think it's somehow obvious that it's a bit a different approach, because a MOOC is really much more than just a live online session lasting one hour. It's more asynchronous collaboration, but I think both approaches somehow connected by similar ideas.
And in terms of, I was interested to hear about how you moderated. Was there any heavy moderation needed, or did the discussion moderate itself in terms of people's comments, having to perhaps direct conversation?
The live, as I told you, most of the discussion took place in the live session, and so we had the speaker and we had a moderator, and the moderator together with an external moderator behind the scene, they collected the questions being asked through the chat and summarized.
Is there any way for you to capture the demographic information about your learners? So, for example, FutureLearn, the platform we use, gives us the ability to see the countries where people are participating from, the age of participants. Are you going to build that into Torial Academy?
Yeah, people who had registered, they could give us information about their location.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so I think we had quite an international number of people registered, but
It was only
still
a few, but it was quite international. And for example, in one case, we learned during the session that there was someone in the online room who was really very important to that topic, and you always have the possibility to get him online then, so make him visible and hearable, and that's a wonderful possibility, of course, yeah. And sometimes you not know it before, and that was the big moments. Yeah, we like that a lot.
That's something we thought was really. Oh, I put it down. That's something we thought was really important, was actually sharing learner stories as well. So some of our learners went on to create their own community journalism websites. Some of them now attracting about 50,000 unique visitors a month. And we wanted to share those stories. So we invite our learners afterwards to write posts for us, blog posts, and talk about how they experience the course, and they then connect with other learners. So it's a really great process for us to share those learner stories.
Okay.
Are there any questions or
Comments, ideas?
I can see the advantage of starting with a group at one moment, starting the course, but is there also something to say about making the course available for everyone at the moment they would like to start with it? So just open and start when you would like to.
I didn't fully understand your question.
Okay, so
both courses are completely open, free of charge, and just accessible more or less via a link with, in our case, even without registration.
okay, I think I was looking.
Yes, for me, yeah. So our course runs for 5 weeks, and it does close at the end of that. So I think that's what you're talking about. So it's completely open access; everyone can sign up. The reason it closes at the end of those 5 weeks is purely because we have to moderate the course. So for us, we have a discussion platform, so we have a legal obligation to make sure those comments are not libelous, etc. However, that's where our website and Twitter comes in. So as I say, we don't close off the learning opportunity. We make sure that people continue learning with us through the website and so on. But it's a really good point because it would be great to have our course open all the time, but the way the Future Learn platform works, it's just not possible, which is perhaps where Torial Academy is slightly different.
Okay, it's closed after the course.
Closed after, yes.
So not completely open.
Open for a bit, yeah.
I see.
Hi, I'm covering the press office of the festival, but I have a question about the, because you mentioned that your MOOCs were also on the website of the local papers, right? Simultaneously live. I was wondering, how did you really afford this? And how did you organize it? Because from a financial point of view, from a financial side, it's not exactly easy to organize something like this, and not every paper would be willing to broadcast lively. So I wanted to ask, on the one hand, how do you organize such type of corporations, and on the other hand, the financial side?
Yeah, okay, I can answer. In the case of Torial Academy, we haven't yet cooperated with media, but I think it would be a good idea to establish a cooperation even with a legacy media, traditional media, and I think education could be part of maybe as a corporate social responsibility approach of media. Why not offer or disseminate education, open education, and support our aim to improve the digital literacy, not only of journalists but as well of a wider target group. And I think it's no way to pay for this kind of cooperation, but media should be aware of its own responsibility to promote media literacy. That would be my answer.
Yeah, I mean, publishers are, digital publishers, even big digital publishers, are kind of dependent on journalists with a high digital literacy. And so our idea is that they should get involved with the further education of journalists, because who does know best what they need from journalists? It's these publishers. They are the big customers still in the market. And we didn't want to ask them now in the very first moment as we're trying to make our first steps, but that is definitely part of our strategy to get them involved there.
But I think not only media professionals or journalists should be the only target group of journalism education. So we could open up as well concerning our target group, and because media creation is, we all know, is part of media literacy and media production. I know the term civil, citizen journalism is not really has some negative side effects maybe as well, but still I think it's an interesting approach, at least to open up the target group and to combine journalists with non-professionals.
Just to add as well, on our course we were lucky that we did have some collaboration from the BBC and other organisations such as Trinity Mirror in the UK, which is a big local newspaper and conglomerate. So I think there is encouraging signs that sort of legacy media are taking that responsibility quite seriously, and we're very collaborative on our course, which was great.
I was wondering if it's possible for me as a learner to earn some kind of legal certification so that I can prove I have knowledge on certain areas because of a MOOC.
So on our course you could buy, this was the only paid bit, so sorry about this. It's a free course, but if you wanted, as you say, a sort of certificate, that cost £32. And that gave you an official certificate. You could put that on your CV, you could give that to an employer saying that you'd learnt, you'd finished the community journalism course. It indicated that you'd passed a certain amount, I think it's about 70% pass rate, and also indicated the areas in which you'd learnt. So for us that was really important as well, because for some people, undertaking the course was a key step to maybe getting a job in journalism, for example. Some people wanted to just take it out of interest, but some people wanted to use it for their careers as well, so it's quite important.
So you can do tests on certain courses?
Yes, so on our particular course, you got quizzed at the end of every week, and also a test at the end. You could redo questions. It really wasn't very formal, but it was a way of just checking that. For me, it's quite useful to check that you've remembered and retained some of that information as well. So ours is quite a formal course in that sense, in that you get a certificate at the end.
All right, thank you.
But you know, a certificate could be one way to show what you have achieved during a course. I think it could be interesting as well if a course is completely open. One can follow what a certain person achieved in a MOOC, or what he or she contributed. Just via one link, you could show to a potential employer what you have done in a MOOC, and this might be more valuable than just a whatever certificate. Yeah. And
I like that idea more, to be honest. I agree with that. I like the open approach more.
Another interesting idea is the concept of open badges, and this kind of online badge. It's like a button, and you can embed this button onto your website. So it's again much more visible than a certificate you have, I don't know, on your hard disk if it's digital.
Skipped the slide about the tools, but can you explain something about your experience with different tools? So I see you're using Adobe Connect.
Okay.
Have you used other tools?
I'm not sure if the tool really is an important issue. What is important is a tool that is easily accessible, and Adobe Connect usually is because it's just the link and you don't have to install anything. And another important is the aspect of to really have an interactive session, and people can easily participate in the way they want to.
Finished, I think, and if there are no more questions, we will close it now. Sorry, I always forget it. The room is so small. Yeah, we're done, I think. If there are no more questions now, we will finish. And we are open. open to talk on afterwards, of course. And yes, please follow Hannah, follow Torial Academy, stay in touch what our plans are and our next office. And we are keen, especially on international joiners of our program. Thank you very much. And thank you, Hannah, especially.